Hey guys, today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the Drop Grell OAE1 Signature. So these are a pair of open back headphones that are pretty new, and they're from a new headphone company called Grell. And this is their very first product, and they're using Massdrop to distribute it. And this is a very notable product because it comes from a very famous designer in headphone circles. His name is Axel Grell, and he was the original designer of a lot of Sennheiser's most famous models. That's the HD600 series, including the 600 and the 650. Yeah, the HD600, HD650, and HD6XX, which is a very popular drop headphone. Those were all mainly designed by Axel Grell. And most notably, the HD800 series, including the HD800S and HD800, of course, and the HD820. Those were all mainly designed by Axel Grell. So he's one of the most famous headphone designers, let's just say. And he decided to leave Sennheiser to start his own company. And really, this is their first product. So now we get to look at what Axel Grell has done. And yeah, very interesting headphone. It's not actually that expensive. So the price is about $400 US from Drop, which is actually pretty reasonably affordable, I would say. So for the mainstream consumer, I think this is really geared towards that very, very competitive market segment. I mean, if you're going to price it at $400, you're really competing against, yeah, there is basically a whole bunch of headphones around that price range. That is basically the hot spot there. $400, yeah, you're competing against pretty much every brand in that price range for the mainstream consumer, right? Because that's about the price point where mainstream consumers will probably open up their wallets. They might think it's a little bit expensive, but it's not out of reach for them. Because yeah, if you look at the very high-end headphones, let's take the HD800s for example. Those are priced around $1,600, and I think that's really above most people's price range, right? That's really only for hardcore audiophiles can afford the high-end Sennheiser HD800s or HD820s. But yeah, it's good to see that the price for this one is reasonably affordable. $400. That's a price range that that's a price point that most mainstream consumers are able to pick up. So what makes these special, besides the designer, of course, and this being a new company, it's their very first product. Apparently, the way that the drivers are angled in these headphones is very different. They're angled in a way where the sound waves reaching your the area of your human ear, it's called the pinna, which is the ear's external structure, at an angle from the front rather than from the sides. And it has 40mm biocellulose drivers, which is pretty common actually. There's a bunch of other headphones that use those drivers, but I think it's the angling of those drivers that are kind of unique. They're not really the first headphones that I've bought that have angled drivers. My Bowers & Wilkins PX8 also have angled drivers as well, but I think the way that the OAE1 does it is fairly extreme from what I've read. So yeah, apparently from this positioning of the drivers, you can have very good soundstage and impressive bass response from this design. So yeah, apparently this positioning reduces unwanted reflections from the membrane and magnet structure, helping to improve fidelity and reduce listener fatigue. Okay, well, hopefully this works. And it says, unlike the AKG 1000, it's resulting, it doesn't have poor low-end reproduction. So this one actually has pretty good bass response too. Anyways, let's get down to unboxing it. I waited for this because I pre-ordered this from Drop. Actually, it's sold out, so if you want to get it from Drop right now, you can't. I got it right when it was announced. So we can take a look at the features here. Okay, so features says natural sound, field shaping due to front-mounted transducers, extremely open design, avoids resonance. Of course, this is an open back, so it's going to leak sound. Do not wear these headphones if you're going to be traveling in a public area. Ergonomic, precise stainless steel. User replaceable, ear pads and headband, extremely low tolerance of frequency response. Silver-plated OFC copper cable can be used with single or double-sided cables. I'm guessing it can come with aftermarket, cables for balanced connectors if you want. But it comes with a single 3.5mm and a 6.3mm adapter. So yeah, it doesn't come with any kind of balanced connector. So it'll just come with the unbalanced connector, I believe. And I wonder where it's made. Is it made in Germany or is it made somewhere else? Like Sennheiser stuff, right? Or usually it's made in Germany, but it could be made elsewhere. Of course, Axel Grell being, you know, part of the Sennheiser design team. I wonder if it's made in Germany. So frequency response, you can see that here. I usually don't pay too much attention to this because at a glance, you can see these specs, but I think what's more important is, you know, how much of it you actually hear. So the best way is by listening. You can see, you can see sound characteristics: front-oriented loudness, diffuse field equalization. Impedance is 38 ohms, so it should be pretty good to drive with. Yeah, your phone can drive this. You don't need to necessarily have an external headphone amp, but of course, having an external headphone amp always helps. No, you know, no harm there by using one, but of course, you don't need to have one. You can just use your phone. Yeah, that's let's see, weight without K 375 grams. The clamping force and the weight should be okay. I'm going to test that out though. And yeah, comes with cable and adapter. Okay, let's get down to unboxing this thing. All right, I am waiting to see what you have in store for me, Mr. Grell. Hopefully you can surprise me. So I own some pretty high-end headphones. I think the highest end headphone I have is the Denon D9200. That's a closed back headphone, which are $1,600 headphones, and I own the HG1000 Stealth. That's a $1,400 open back headphones. So I have some pretty high-end stuff. Hopefully Alex Grell can impress me. Okay, so this is what it comes with. It says, comes with a little note here. Congratulations, you have purchased an outstanding pair of headphones. It's a result of my decades of work on improving listening experience. Then he even gives a frequency response curve, which is a very, very flat looking curve. This is pretty flat looking to me. It's almost too flat looking, actually. So that's, yeah, this is a very, very flat looking curve. So usually I don't like the frequency response if it's too flat, and I found like that's the reason why I didn't like the HD650s too much, because it was a little bit too analytical for me. Same thing with the Focal Elexes, and yeah, some of the other Focal headphones, they're just a little bit too linear, like a little bit too flat for me. Yeah, so Sennheiser and Focal's products, I think, really it tries to give you this really flat frequency response, because that's what a lot of audiophiles prefer. They don't want any unnatural boosting of any frequencies, but it also means that it could be sounding a little bit sterile or analytical. So I wonder if this flat frequency response is going to end up like that. And same thing with the HG1000 V2s, the non-stealth version. Way too flat. Dan Clark Aeon 2s as well, I found were a little bit like that, a little bit too flat and balanced. So yeah, I generally had issues if it's too flat. I just feel like it's not as fun sounding. But anyways, well, I'll give this a try and compare it to the HD650s and also the Shure SRH1840s as well, because that one I remember also had a pretty similar sound signature to the HD650s. And of course, I do want to compare it to these 650s because that's Alex Grell's previous design, and that's really what this is competing with at the $400 price range, is directly competing with the HD650s. So I think that's a worthy comparison to make. So it says you'll forget about the OAE1 when listening to your music. Okay, well, we'll see. I actually have a serial number here. Apparently there were 1,000 made. I have one of the first 1,000 ever made. 434 out of 1,000. That's cool. I mean, it's kind of like a limited edition run. Of course, I think if it's successful, they're going to make more. But it's very cool to have one of the first 1,000 produced. That's cool. So you can get a better... Yeah, here's a better view of the frequency response and the technical data here. If you guys are interested, this is a lot clearer than the one I showed you on the side of the box. And this is what it comes with. Headphone user safety instructions, carry case. Yep. Cable management comes with 2.5 millimeter connectors for the headphone. I would have preferred 3.5 millimeters because that's what I use for the Hi-Fi Man and Denon headphones. And Focals also use 3.5 as well. So 2.5, yeah, it's a little bit annoying, but okay. At least it's not completely proprietary like Fostix or Audio-Technica. Yeah, let's see. And this is how you put the headphones on, enjoy them, I guess. I don't really need to know too much about that because I'm pretty sure I know how to use headphones. This being a wired, non-Bluetooth pair, of course. Oh wow, this case is huge. What a monstrous case. Okay, well, this is definitely not meant for traveling with. I mean, this case is absolutely massive. So for a size comparison difference, I have my Bowers & Wilkins PX8s right here, McLaren, and you can see just how much bigger the Trop Grell OAE case is. I mean, just look at this, right? So this is my main portable travel headphones, right? These are Bluetooth headphones, and fun enough, these also have angled drivers as well. Actually, I think these are the first headphones I've used with angled drivers. But yeah, these are my main travel headphones, and you can just see how much bigger this case is. Yeah, so definitely the Grell headphones are not meant to be traveling with. They're home headphones, and that makes sense because these are open back headphones. You would not want to use them for traveling anyways. All right. Let's take a look. Okay, what do the headphones look like? I mean, I kind of already saw from the box art, but let's see the actual headphones in person. Whoa, okay. Ooh, pretty cool. And they have this OAE1 stamping right there. But yeah, these are a big case for a big pair of headphones. These are indeed pretty big. I mean, they're 40mm drivers, which are not the biggest that I've seen. I think the biggest drivers that I've seen on a headphone that I actually own are the Audio-Technica AWKTs. Those are just massive drivers. I think those are like, yeah, 50mm or larger, I think. But yeah, these are 40mm drivers, so not like the largest drivers I've seen, but I think it's the casing that makes them really big. Yeah, quite big casing. Actually reminds me of the Audi's Maxwell in many ways. That one also has a pretty big casing for the drivers. Obviously, you guys can tell it's open back, right, with these grills. And it is a little bit reminiscent of the HD800. That one does have, yeah, kind of like this kind of design. Of course, those also use bigger drivers too, and those are also a big pair of headphones. But yeah, okay, it comes with two cables here. I think I'm mistaken. It does come with a balanced cable, and that's really nice. Okay, so it comes with a 4.4mm balanced cable. So yeah, I like to use balanced because I could just get more power from my my balanced sources. So it's really cool to give you a 4.4mm cable for balanced. You don't have to buy that separately. And of course, they give you the 3.5mm / 6.35 adapter jack. Yeah, so this is your regular 3.5. Unbalanced with a 1/4 inch 6.35mm adapter for your desktop headphone amps. So yeah, includes both the cables you really need. A balanced one and an unbalanced one with an adapter. So can't really complain there. The 2.5mm connector, I would have preferred 3.5, but yeah, it's just so like I can have my Hi-Fi Man and my Denon headphones all use the same kind of connector, so this one's a little bit different, but that's fine. That's a nitpick. I'm just glad that they included a balanced cable. I thought they wouldn't do that, so that's good. All right, let's take a look at the headphones themselves. So these are quite big. So again, just for a size comparison, show you guys my compared to my Bowers & Wilkins PX8s. So yeah, these are my Bluetooth wireless headphones right now, the Bowers & Wilkins PX8s, and yeah, with angled drivers. I think this also uses 40mm actually. So roughly it's the same size, except these are much bigger. And again, the casing is bigger, and you can see these ones are severely angled. So you guys can see from my Bowers & Wilkins PX8 is a little bit angled towards your ear, but on the OAE1s, they're extremely angled. The driver is actually here, all the way here. So it's almost like to the side of your ear. So that's really interesting, because the driver is like, on most normal headphones, the driver is like right here, right? Directly at your ear. This headphone, it's like really off to the side here. That's really interesting. Okay, the pads seem pretty comfortable. These are like velour pads, right? Your standard velour felt pads here. Nice. You've got this leather or leatherette type of headband right here, which feels pretty comfortable and nice. Yep, I'm not sure how long they will last, but and also I'm not sure if this is real leather. This seems like some kind of faux leather or leatherette, but anyways, it feels nice enough. They're labeled with drop on the side of it. You can see the drop branding. And let's see. I hope you have an indication which is left and right. I really do want to see headphones have better label indicators for left and right. You do have the Grell logo on the sides here as well. But yeah, I would like to see like a labeling left or right. So the way that Bowers does it is the way I think that most headphones should do it, is you just have left and right here. If you can't put it on the inside, then just put it like somewhere on the inside of the headband or headband kind of yoke here. But yeah, here, actually, can you adjust? Yeah, you can adjust it like this. You can adjust it like this. But at least it's not easy to find which is left and which is right. Huh. That's unfortunate. Oh, no, you can. Okay, it's this tiny little... it's this tiny little print on the connectors of the headphone right here. So you have left right here, and you have right here. It's on the tiny print on the connectors of the headphone. Not ideal. I would have preferred them to have like on the headband or on the yoke or something. Also has Alex Grell's signature right here, Axel Grell signature. Yeah, you can see right there. It's a nice little touch, I guess. Just have something like really personalized. It feels like it's a handmade piece of equipment, even though it's not. And it folds down flat like this. So that's something. It's not really meant for traveling, but still it's nice to have something that folds down, right? I think for another size comparison, I do have my Audio-Technica AP2000 Ti's here, which I think, okay, yeah, so this is really about the same size if I compare it to my Audio-Technica AP2000 Ti's. And it's just the Grells are still a little bit thicker when it comes to the, it's probably because the pads here are so thick. Yeah, these have really thick pads. Actually, the driver casing itself is pretty similar, maybe. Yeah, and I think they're both 40 millimeters here as well. I think Audio-Technica is also 40 millimeters. Of course, Audio-Technica is a much more expensive headphone. These are like $1,200, and these, of course, use real leather, and you can tell that these are real leather. With the Grells, I'm not sure if this is real leather, and this is definitely like felt or velour. But yeah, this one definitely has more padding on it, and I think that's what part of the reason why it's so thick. Right, you can see how thick this headphone cup is just from the padding. Anyways. Pretty interesting looking headphone. I'm definitely going to test it out and compare it. So yeah, stay tuned guys, but this is the Drop Plus Grell OAE1 Signature, the first headphone from the Grell company, which is Axel Grell's headphone company. I'm really excited to check these out. I've been hearing some good stuff from this. I don't go to CanJam or anything, but certainly I keep up with the headphone reviews, and Headphone Show especially is one of my favorites. So yeah, stay tuned guys. I'm going to test this out and give you guys my impressions, and then we'll do a sound comparison test. Yeah, so I think for this balance connector here, it only has one 2.5 millimeter connector, and that's because this one actually carries a stereo signal. So you guys can see that there's actually stereo pins here, so you only need to connect it to one side. So I'll just connect it to the left side here. You just push it in, and then you push it in again until you hear that click. And then yeah, it actually like outputs a stereo signal even though it's connected on only one side. So that's only for this balanced connector. I think for the unbalanced connector, you still got to connect both ends. Hey guys, just a short interjection before we continue with the rest of the video. Later on in the video, I referenced the $400 price point a lot. But when I did more research, I realized that it's actually $350 US. So whenever you guys hear me saying $400 later on the video, I actually mean $350 because that's how much this headphone actually is. So it's an even better deal than I expected. At $350, yeah, this is quite a good value, I think. So yeah, later on in the video, if I reference $400, it's actually $350. It's an even better price point than I originally expected. So yeah, I just want to correct myself for my mistake. Yeah, that's my little disclaimer so you guys know. If you continue on further in the video, this is actually $350 US, so not $400. Alright guys, so now I have the Drop Grell OAE1 here in front of me, and I'm going to test it out. I already have the cables plugged in, so it's going to be the balanced cable. I only need to plug it into one connector here, and I have it plugged into my DAP, my digital audio player. This is a Hy-B RS6. It's pretty expensive, $1,200 DAP with an R2R DAC inside of it. So yeah, let's check this baby out. What has Axel Grell done? Okay, so first of all, I have to note the comfort here. So this thing is has a decent amount of clamping force. So it's I wouldn't say it's like really uncomfortable. So it's not like an Audis or something like that. It's not that level of clamping, but at the same time, it's definitely not loose. So you definitely will feel some clamping force on your head. So it's a little bit tight. So that's just one thing I gotta note. It's not exactly uncomfortable, but it is definitely on the tighter side. But yeah, I do like these velour ear pads. I think they're okay. Just the clamping force is definitely a little bit on the tighter side, but it's not something that I can't live with, right? So like when I wear some Audis headphones, like the clamping force is way too tight sometimes, and then I won't be able to listen to an Audis headphone for like more than 30 minutes. This one I can definitely go for longer than 30 minutes. I think it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna test out some songs here. Let's go. Yeah, by the way, this doesn't need too much power because yeah, it's fairly low impedance. I think just having my volume set around 60 is good. All right, so yeah, this is a pretty nice headphone. I think the things I noticed the most about this headphone is the soundstage and imaging is pretty good. So for $400 headphone, I think this might have probably the best soundstage and imaging out of any headphone I've had for $400. Now it's not going to be as wide as the HD800, of course. The HD800S and HD800, those are probably, like many people say, that's got the biggest soundstage out of any headphone they tried, but that's that's in another tier. That's like a $1,600 like headphone, right? $1,800 headphone. Like those are really expensive headphones. So don't buy this expecting it to be an HD800. It's not. I mean, like Axel Grell still has to hit a price point, right? So the $400 price point, yeah, you still got to hit that price point. So it's not going to be like a $400 version of the HD800. It's not. But I will say that the soundstage is pretty impressive for what it is, right? For this price point. So I think, yeah, out of all the headphones I've tried in this price range, I think that the soundstage is probably amongst the top tier for this price range here. Maybe the best, or maybe definitely in the top tier at least. Then for the actual frequency response, so it's interesting. Some reviewers at CanJam have said this has a treble spike. I don't really hear that treble spike here. At least, yeah, this for me, I don't hear any kind of treble peak or treble spike. The treble seems controlled. It just seems controlled to me. So I don't feel like there's any kind of treble peak. I don't think that this is even a bright headphone. I think this is actually leaning more towards the warmer side. So yeah, I would actually like consider this more of like a warmer headphone than a bright headphone. But I don't sense any treble peaks here. I just think the treble is very lean and controlled. So nothing wrong with the treble, but it doesn't seem to be pushed up in any way. Now the mids. So this is the thing. There is this concept of a Sennheiser veil. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but there is a kind of like a veil type of sound to a lot of Sennheiser models, and I think it's most prevalent with the HD650. That's the one I have tested before. The HD650 does have this kind of veiled mid sound, and they call it the Sennheiser veil, which means it's not as detailed, and yeah, it just kind of seems like a little bit muffled, and I sense that with this headphone as well. Unfortunately, I sense that there is a Sennheiser veil, or kind of like a veiled mid-range. So that is a little bit disappointing. I'm not a fan of this Sennheiser veil. I'm not a fan of the veiled mid-range, and that's one reason I didn't like the HD650s, is because I felt it was too veiled in the mids. And this thing, yeah, it's pretty similar in that aspect. It's pretty veiled in the mids, in my opinion, pretty similar to the HD650s there. So that's a little bit disappointing. I prefer to have more detail in the mids. Then for the bass, this thing does have a decent amount of bass. Now, it's not I wouldn't say it's for bass heads or anything like that. It's not overwhelming. It's not bloated, but it definitely has like a bit of like a push, right? This has a bass push, and you could think of this as like it's decently like done. It's taste like on the tasteful side, I would say. It's not pushed up way too much, but it's definitely you can sense that the bass is pushed up a little bit. It's a little bit forward on this, and it's fine because the bass has a decent amount of slam and punch to it. So yeah, I would say that compared to the HD650s, these ones have more soundstage, and this one has more pushed up and arguably better bass than the HD650s do. But everything else is pretty similar to 650. Yes, I would say the treble and mids are pretty similar to the 650s. But I would say, yeah, if you were to ask me HD650 versus OAE1, I would pick the OAE1 because I find the 650s, it has this veiled mid-range, and it's more of a flatter frequency response, whereas this one has like pushed up bass, and this one has better soundstage. So overall, I think this one is this one is not like an analytical headphone. Like I was kind of afraid looking at flat frequency response, but it's actually fairly fun. Like I can definitely listen to a lot of tracks and see myself enjoying it. It's not like a sterile sounding headphone. And I sometimes felt that the HD650s kind of were analytical sterile sounding, but not the OAE ones. These ones, maybe because of the pushed up bass, I feel like it's good for like a lot of mainstream consumers like to have their bass pushed up. Then this one definitely has that. So it definitely makes it a bit more fun to listen to some tracks. So I think overall, I would probably pick this one over the HD650s, which are probably the main competitor to this, since that's by Grell's former company anyways. I would pick this one over the 650s just because I like to have this, this pushed up bass because it adds a little bit more like fun, I guess, to the sound. And then for those of you guys who like bass, then that's obviously a good thing as well. Plus, it has a better soundstage than the HD650s do. The other headphone I can compare this to is perhaps the Shure SRH1840s, which I also did review before, and that one's a little bit tougher because, okay, the soundstage on this is still better, and the bass on this is still better, but the SRH1840s, those have better mids, those have more detailed mids, and the rest of the frequency response is fairly like reference level, fairly flat, so that's going to be a harder one. So I would say this one over the HD650s, but compared to the Shure SRH1840s, really depends on what you're looking for. I think if you're looking for a flatter frequency response with more detailed mids, then the Shure SRH1840s are the way to go. And you can also find those much cheaper too. You can find those refurb for like $250, which are actually cheaper than this. So the Shures are just a fantastic deal if you can get them. But the drops, the Grells, yeah, this one, if you want the soundstage and you like your bass, then this one will have more soundstage and bass compared to the Shures. So I would say that those two are probably my two picks for this price point. For $400 open back headphone, this is probably one of the best I've tested. This one and the Shure SRH1840s are going to be my recommendations for this price point. The Shures, if you can find them even cheaper, because I've seen the SRH1840s go for as low as $200 on eBay, which is an extremely good deal, then yeah, that's the best value for the price. But at MSRP, around the same price range, yeah, I think both of these headphones are good. So that would be my top recommendations for open back headphones around $400, $500. Wired headphones, that is. The Grell OAE1s are definitely up there, and the Shure SRH1840s. I would pick either of these over the Sennheiser HD650s. That's probably going to be my recommendation. Now, compared to HD600s, I don't know. I haven't tried the 600s, but that's what I'm going to compare it to. So, personally, yeah, that was going to be my two recommendations. This one does seem to be a pretty nice entry into this range. So, don't come into expecting it to be like the HD800, which is not. But definitely, I think it's very competitive with the HD650. In my opinion, I like it better than the HD650. And the only other headphone in this price range, like open back, and that I would maybe take over it, is the Shure SRH1840, like I mentioned. So yeah, that means this is pretty good, right? I tested a lot of headphones around this price range for open back headphones. Yeah, I think this is really up there. I haven't tried the Hi-Fi Man XS Edition. I think that could be another good one around this price range. But out of the ones I've tried, this is certainly up there for the $400 price range. I think this is a very good price for a headphone of this quality. The only like major thing I don't like about it is that Sennheiser veil, that veiled mid-range, and that's where the Shure SRH 1840s are better because they have a more detailed mid-range. But other than that, I'm pretty satisfied with this headphone. Soundstage is really good, bass is excellent, treble and mids, yeah, they're good. Like they're not like pushed too forward, they're not too recessed. It's just that the mids are a little bit veiled. And that's really it. That's my only major complaint with these. So yeah, aside from the veiled mids, I think that's the only thing that would be preventing me from recommending these 100% is, yeah, the veiled mids. But other than that, I think that Axel Grell did a great job with these. The build quality seems really nice too. Now the clamping force is like a little bit tight, but overall it's okay. It's yeah, it's still something you can definitely wear for like an hour or something. And yeah, overall I'm pretty impressed with the Grell OAE1s. Definitely, I think that these headphones are probably my recommendation for open back headphones, around $400. The Shure SRH1840s are up there, but if you guys want the best soundstage and more bass, then these are definitely a nice pick. So yeah, the Drop Grell OAE1s, pretty solid headphones for $400. Yeah, I would say the main thing is to temper your expectations, guys. Yes, I know it's Axel Grell and he's widely renowned in the headphone industry, but it's not an HD800, it's not Hi-Fi Man HG1000, it's not an Audi's LCD3. It's not going to compare to any of those higher end headphones, or Focal Clear even. It's not going to compare to a Focal Clear either. So just temper your expectations, right? This is a $400 headphone. It's going to perform more or less like, it's still good, right? It's for its price range, of course. But it's not going to compete with headphones over $1,000. So yeah, just temper your expectations. It is very good for the price point. That's all I have to say about it. It's not going to compete with headphones above $1,000, but for $400, pretty solid. Yeah. So this is actually one of my recommendations for this price range. So I just want to go through a couple other open back headphones I've tested before and do like a short, brief little impression of what I felt of the Grells compared to them. It's likely this will probably be my last open back headphones I test in a while, because I need to cut down on this stuff. So yeah, so again, the HD650s are the closest comparison. I do prefer the Grells over those because the Grells have better soundstage, and for me, I like to have the pushed up bass on this. But it really depends. I mean, if you guys like to have that flatter, more reference type of signature, then the HD650s are better for that. The Shure SRH1840s, those are the ones I would still take over the Grells. But it's close, but yeah, I mean, the Grells I think still have better soundstage, and the bass is still more on the Grells compared to the Shures. But the Shure SRH1840s, they're just really, really good all-around headphones. They have pretty much that flatter, more linear like reference signature, but they also have the detailed mids, and actually just better detail all around compared to either the HD650 or the Grells. So yeah, the 1840s are really, I think just like other Shure stuff, they're really overlooked, and I do think that those are probably the best deal you can get. Those are around $500 originally, but you can easily find it online for like half that price. And yeah, the 1840s would still be my pick over these. Yeah, these are $400. The HD650s are probably around the same price as this. There's also the Audio-Technica R70Xs, which I've reviewed before, and I would probably take the Grells over those as well. I remember those not being too impressive for me, and also sounding kind of veiled as well. And then there's the Dan Clark Aeon X Open. Those also kind of around the similar price. I think Dan Clark has always made more comfortable headphones. These ones, they do have a bit of a tight clamping force, so I do think the Dan Clarks will probably be more comfortable. But the Aeon X Opens, I believe they also had a little bit of veil as well, and did not have the bass extension that these headphones do. So I think I would still go for the OAE ones over the Dan Clark's Aeon X Opens. And these are all around the same price range. If you go up a little bit higher, there's the Focal Elex. And the Focal Elex is a really good headphone. And if you can find a Focal Elex like secondhand, you can probably get it for around the same price as these. And if you do, I think the Focal Elex is probably better still, because in terms of mid-detail, there's no comparison. The Focal Elex will blow the Grells away in terms of mid-detail. I mean, they have, like I said, the Shures, they have better mid-detail than these, and the Focal Elex has even more mid-details than the Shures. So yeah, the Elexes are just incredibly detailed, probably the most detailed headphones for that price. And the only thing is this has better soundstage and will have more bass than the Focal Elexes. So again, soundstage wise, yeah, Focals have never had wide soundstage, so I think these will definitely blow away the Focals in terms of soundstage, and these ones will have more bass, but the Focals do have that detail, and that's what Focals are known for, is mid-detail. So in terms of mid-detail, the Elexes will blow these away. But if you still like the soundstage and bass, then there's still a reason to pick these up over the Elexes. But that's if you go up a little bit higher, because the Elexes are traditionally a little bit higher priced. They're around $700 brand new. Then if you go around that price even higher a little bit, just under $1,000, there's the HiFiMint Arias and the Meze 109 Pros. And yeah, out of those two, yeah, the Meze 109 Pros honestly are not worth $900. I'm sorry to say, like Mezes look really nice, but their sound is not worth that price. Like the Meze 109 Pros, okay, they're good sounding, but I would say they're probably around like $600, like maybe $600, $500, $600 of sound. I would not pay $900 for those. I think they're expensive because of the wood and everything and how they look. And they're comfortable, but yeah, they're not $900 for sound. The HiFiMint Arias, on the other hand, are definitely worth $900. Those are incredible headphones. In terms of sound quality, I mean, they're not the best built headphones. That's where the Meze wins. The Meze, definitely has better build quality, but in terms of just sound, yeah, the Arias blow away the 109 Pros in terms of sound quality because they're way more detailed, way bigger sound stage. Yeah, I think in terms of, like, if you compare that to this, no, there's no way these can match up to HiFiMint Arias. So, yeah, just a few other, like, comparisons. I haven't tried the Anandas, so I can't compare to those. But just in terms of comparisons to what I've seen under $1,000, yeah, still the best sounding pair of open backs under $1,000 would be the HiFiMint Arias Stealths. That's $900, pretty close to $1,000, but those are the best sounding open backs I've ever heard under $1,000. But in terms of overall, yeah, it's really hard to say. Like, personally, like in terms of best bang for the buck, I would still go for the Shure SRH1840s. I mean, they still built really well. They sound pretty good. They sound like not as good as the Arias, but still, like, for that price, really, really good. And yeah, fairly comfortable, I'd say, as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the more premium open backs I've tried. Also the Beyerdynamic DT1980 Pros, I forgot to talk about. Yeah, the Beyerdynamic DT1980 Pros are pretty popular. Those ones are interesting because they're V-shaped headphones. They're very dynamic sounding, and they're pretty comfortable, as you would expect from Beyerdynamic. Compared to these, I think it's pretty close. I would still take these. I still take the Grells. These ones I do think still have better soundstage and bass compared to the Beyerdynamics. But it's an interesting choice because if you want to have a very dynamic presentation, then the DT1980 Pros are pretty good. But overall, I think, yeah, overall, I think I might still take the Grells of them. But it's pretty close. I mean, the DT1980 Pros I enjoy those headphones. I know, like, some audiophiles don't like them. But for me, I'm a fan of the Beyerdynamic DT1980 Pros. I think those are pretty good headphones. Yeah, just if you can get them at a discount, I wouldn't necessarily pay like the full price for those, but if you can get them at a discount, they're pretty good. They're well built too. They're made in Germany, of course. So, which I don't actually know where is. Maybe these are made in Germany because these seem pretty well built as well. The Beyer DT1980 Pros have a little bit of a brighter, more leaner presentation compared to the OAE1s, which I think have a more warmer, full-bodied presentation. So yeah, that's a little bit of a difference there as well. Yeah, the DT1980 Pros, those are pretty close. I think I might still take the Grells over them, but it's close, right? Because those ones, if I want to have like a very fun sound, like a V-shaped type of sound, then I might go for those. And yeah, those have decent detail, not quite as detailed as a full cal or HiFiMint, but decent amount of detail. So anyways, that's another open back around this price range would be the Beyer DT1980 Pros, and those are pretty good as well. I think around this price range, yeah, the Shure SRH1840 is still my first recommendation, and then the drop Grell OAE1s, and then the Beyerdynamic DT1980 Pros probably, actually, around this price range. I mean, so we're talking about $500 and under. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Would you pick up the drop Grell OAE1s? Yeah, they are limited edition, I guess. So yeah, try them out before. I guess they will have another batch out at some point, but for sure you can find some of them on eBay for now. But yeah. For these, I think it's a really nice first entry by Axel Grell.